All right, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another video. You greet me here in the sunshine state of Florida in front of my precious Aston Martin DB9. But we're actually not gonna be talking about the DB9. We're actually gonna be talking about the fabled BMW Blue M3. Now, as many of you guys know, the M3 was my first ever nice car. I got it back way back in 2017. I put thousands of dollars into the M3. Well, I don't know why I'm pointing at the DB9 like it's the M3, but I put thousands of dollars into the M3 preventatively and not preventatively whenever it leaves me stranded. And it's been a journey to say the least. It's been the car where I have amassed the most memories by far. I met Jack in that car. I met everyone that I've ever known through cars has basically known me through that M3. So that thing means a lot to me. It is my baby. I told myself I would never, ever sell it. However, throughout that time, it's gone through about a quart of oil every 1,000 miles or so. I posted it all the time on forums. Hey, is this okay? Is this normal? And the answer I always got was yes, it's perfectly fine. It's just how the M3s are, that's how BMWs are, it's fine. I did valve cover gaskets, I did everything to make sure nothing was leaking, and it was all fine and dandy. However, after getting back from Monterey Car Week last summer, 2022, I did notice the consumption was getting noticeably worse. I was going through a quart of oil every 500 to 700 miles, depending on how hard I was driving it. And it was finally time for me to bite the bullet and do the maintenance I thought it was, which I thought was valve stem seals. And to the best of my knowledge that I can explain it, it's basically a small piece of the engine very deep down that's very cheap to purchase, but there's a lot of labor to it. It'd be $2,000 or $3,000, and that would be that. It wouldn't be a horrible deal, and I was just kind of banking on it not being anything more than that. So I went in, and before I did that, I wanted to make triple sure that was actually the case instead of going through that whole process and actually it ends up being something else. So I got a compression test and a leak down test via my friend William Yu. He also took a little stethoscope camera and poked it down into the cylinders to make sure that there was nothing obviously wrong with it. And what he found, it wasn't good. I'll put some pictures of it right here of what he found. It was cylinder scoring in cylinder number 4. And what that entitles is a engine rebuild. Yes, an engine rebuild, and my friend Braden Daher, he has an E46 M3. He just got the engine rebuilt on that at a price of $14,000. So me with the V8, he has a straight 6. I'm assuming it's gonna be a little bit more expensive to rebuild that. I'm budgeting $16,000 for that. And it's just been such a headache for him. I've been encouraged by him and several other people in the group to just dump the M3. It's not worth it. You're not gonna get your money back out of it. So now is the perfect time to cut your losses and move on with it. I can't do it. My whole brand and everything that I am in terms of social media has stemmed from that car. So honestly, letting go of it is just not something that I can really do. As silly as that might seem, I just have such an attachment to that car. Like, it's silly, it's metal, but as a lot of you guys know, cars can be a lot more than just a piece of metal. So, I have a few options that I'm gonna go over with you guys. You guys let me know what the best option is, because what I'm about to tell you guys might seem a little bit crazy. So here we go. So the first option, the most conservative option, get the current engine rebuilt. It's gonna be around $15,000 to $17,000 to get it rebuilt professionally at a machine shop, hone out the cylinders, get that all nice and fine and dandy, get new pistons, new rods. While we're there, you may as well just do it just to make sure it lasts actually a good amount of time and go from there. I have the stock M3 engine in the car, and that's around, like I said, $15,000, $16,000. The second option is to get a used engine and just put it in. That runs about $7,000 with probably about $3,000 or $4,000 in labor at least. So that's around $12,000 as a pinch cheaper, but who knows, I might have the same issues, if not something worse. if I'm buying a used engine. I'm not so inclined to do that, but however, I do have a couple of more interesting options, which is I have a 2007 BMW M6. I purchased it last year purely because the engine was good on that car. It was a 100,000 mile chassis, but I think the engine was brand spanking new. Every single hose in that engine is brand spanking new, but it's so weird because it had a 650i interior, it had an X5M cluster, it was a hodgepodge of parts, and it was not in the nicest shape. Now, however, I was just gonna fix up that car. I already fixed up the cosmetics on that car, and I was just gonna do a couple more things to it and then flip it for a really good profit. However, I'm into that car still cheap enough to the point where I could, in theory, take out that S85 V10, put it into the M3. That I already have the parts. It would purely just be labor and figuring out all the custom stuff associated with that. As far as I can tell by the very little forum information that there is, correct me if I'm wrong, I would need to modify the subframe and I would need to modify the motor mounts and get custom motor mounts. And I would probably also do a manual swap because coding it to a DCT is really difficult. So all of that in, it would be probably around $15,000 to do that. Maybe if not a little bit more, depending on where I go for that. So that's my third option. So the fourth option kind of stems off of the fact that my engine in the M3 right now only has 79,000 miles on it. And with cylinder scoring already, I know it's bad luck. I know other people have gone a lot higher miles than me, but I feel like I'm pretty religiously taking care of that car and I just don't want to deal with this ever again. I just want to swap something into it that will be reliable and will not give me any more headaches. And what is better than that, that's an upgrade of course, than, in my head, an LT4. There is one public swap of someone that's done it. I believe his name is Craig. He's did it in the UK. He's associated with Driftworks. He put an LT4 into his E92 M3. He was baller and actually had a perfectly fine M3. He just pulled his supercharged engine out of his car and put an LT4 in it just for the heck of it. And there is actually a decent amount of aftermarket for E9X LS swaps already. So there's not gonna be as much guesswork and it's not gonna be actually so custom as you might imagine, apart from the wiring and a few other things. So the LT4, get ready, is $10,000, okay? $10,000 for an LT4 engine. That's around what they go for on eBay. A T56 goes for around $3,000 to $4,000, depending on the condition of it and so on and so forth. That's the transmission that the public swap in the UK has. I would probably do that the most robust, the most reliable way of going about doing it. 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque from the factory. All in, I would probably be around $20,000 into that swap, if not a little bit more. So that's the most expensive option, but in my head, it's actually the most reliable, even though it's the most custom, it's not a BMW engine. In my head, it's a tiny little bit blasphemous, and I never thought I would be in the position to where I would need to even consider this, but it honestly might be the move to do that. I'm just not really sure. So you guys let me know what you think I should do. And yeah, that's essentially the situation that's going on with the M3. It's a sucky situation. It really is. Because as I said, that car means so much to me. Over any other car, like I tell people all the time, I wouldn't straight trade the M3 for anything else short of a first generation Lamborghini Gallardo, which is my ultimate dream car, for under like $500,000. So it means a lot if I can get that point across. So let me know what you guys think once more. And thank you for listening to my rant here. And hopefully we can have a happy ending to this somewhat sad situation. I really, as I said, don't want to sell the M3. So on that, thank you very much for watching. I will keep you guys updated on the latest in terms of this. And I hope this can actually be a fun and interesting rebuild process, regardless of how it goes. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Cheers.